Okay, hello everyone. I would like to welcome you here and start the Whalebone users meeting and update today. My name is Robert Schiffer. I'm the CTO of Whalebone. Today's agenda will be a combination of a few slides and actually the live demos of the of all the areas considered and touched. So I don't want it to be just a slide. The slides will be mainly to keep the track of the webinar. So let's start right away. The agenda will be a new Whalebone resolver version. I think it's quite a huge step for us. I'll go deeper into the topic, what we have done and what you can expect from the new version. We have done also quite a lot of changes in authentication and security on the Whalebone portal. I'll describe that. We are extending over the time. We are still extending the API endpoints, and we are aware that not all of the customers are aware about the API possibilities that we provide. So I would like to describe this more in detail. Maybe you will find it useful. Some Whalebone tips and tricks to make it easier for you to deal with the daily operations. At the end, if the time will allow, we will just have a brief look on reports and the configuration of reporting. Again, we think not all the customers are using the reports to their full extent. Feel free to place questions anytime during the presentation. Peter will try to answer them right away in the browser, and I will check from time to time whether there is a question that I need to answer because it's just too technical. Okay, I will jump to the first topic, which is the new Whalebone resolver. For us, this is quite a huge step. I mean, for this resolver version that we have released recently, we have redone a lot of things. We have changed all our backend for the resolvers that are responsible to deliver the threat intelligence updates, to propagate all the configuration from the cloud to the resolvers. And we have prepared the resolvers for a new feature that we are actually testing with some of the customers at the moment. Or, I mean, we have been testing it for several months at this moment, and it's deployed in production at several networks. It's a parental and content control features, meaning the ability to restrict access to a particular content, which can be quite useful, for example, for some use cases like schools or some public organizations that would like to restrict access to some adult content or non-suitable content, and they can ask the internet service provider to help them with that request, with that feature. So I mean, there are several things that are worth discussing regarding the new Whalebone version. Let me switch to the user interface. So there is an update ready. If in case you didn't already install the update, you should be able to see in the resolvers overview things like this. So resolvers waiting for an update, depicted by the arrow facing up. If you click the icon, you will be taken in the resolver details directly into the upgrade section. So this is where you can actually get a bit more information on what's happening, what can you expect. The first point, quite important in case you run into an issue that you are not able to install the update after you click the initiate update. If you get a server error about gateway timeout, the issue is actually that the resolver, the older version, does not communicate with our servers properly. This is one of the things that has been fixed. So the way to do it is to run the command docker restart lr-agent on the resolver, which will restart the service. That doesn't have any influence on the resolution itself. It just restarts the service that is communicating to our management, and you are good to go. You can then initiate the update. One quite important thing, if you have some firewalling in place, one of our ports that we originally used to update the resolver, the threat intelligence database, was 8443. So this was used to communicate to the Whalebone cloud, but now we have changed it to 443 to regular HTTPS. So in case you have this firewall, just please be aware that you will have to open the port. So from now on, we are using only the standard ports, the 443, which is much easier to manage. And we have updated the resolver itself to quite a recent version, 4.3, and we are testing the newest not resolver version at the moment. So this will probably come shortly, as well as a minor update. Interesting things with the new update, with the new resolver version, is that we have changed the overall architecture of our backend and the architecture of the threat intelligence database. This also had positive influence on the memory footprint and the CPU footprint. So the mostly the memory footprint of the resolver will be lower. So we still have in the documentation the minimum requirement of 4 GB, but you won't hit the limits of those machines, and the memory requirements and the memory usage will be lower. So I think this is a positive message. Even I mean the memory footprint is lower even with the whole parental control and content control database, which is quite large. There are millions and millions of domains included, and still the memory usage is lower than before. I think very important part, very important thing is that from now on, if you change anything in the configuration here, the propagation of those changes in the security policies and in whitelists, blacklists, etc., is much faster, and it's reliable. It was kind of troublesome before. So with the new version, if you make any change in the security policy, or if you, for example, add a new domain in the whitelist, you will and you save it, the change will be propagated to the resolver in several minutes at most. Usually this even happens in a few in a few like 10-20 seconds. I think I can show you how this actually behaves. Let me prepare it. I'll show you the use case live. I think that it's quite interesting just to understand how this work and what you can expect from the resolver. So this is the craftsman service, which I am now tailing the logs. So I'm looking on the new logs in the craftsman service. Is responsible for updating the database from the cloud. I'm going to management of our lab, which is this is the resolver that we are looking at, and let me save the changes of policy assignment to the resolver. The policies were saved successfully, which now actually started a process to regenerate the cache, to regenerate all the whitelists, blacklists. It also gathers the new updates to the threat intelligence along the way, and prepares the update on our download servers, where they are exposed towards the resolver. Now you can see the resolver got a simple message, and it started to invoke update now, which downloads the new threat intelligence cache. It took like 10, 20, maybe 30 seconds before it got applied. So any change you make on the resolver policy from now on, including the whitelists, which we understand the whitelists are really crucial for you, as you want to, if you want to add anything to the whitelist, because some customer is asking you to do it. This will be propagated in a short while, and you can inform the customer, hey, the website is available for you. Okay, I will jump back to the release notes, not to miss anything. I can actually also open the release notes here in the notification pane. I think you are aware of this feature. If we release anything, you are informed via this notification icon. Okay, one information regarding the DNS over HTTPS. What we have configured on the resolver is that we have configured the canary, so-called canary domain. So even if your customers are going to install the US Firefox version and going to enable the DNS over HTTPS, the resolvers are now signaling to Firefox not to use the DNS over HTTPS to some third-party cloud, but still to stick to your resolvers. We think it's better to have them with your resolvers and to know what can be expected. Important information: the regulatory blocks, meaning if you are using in the security policy, the blocking for the based on the regulatory restrictions, they are from now on, we don't log them in the threads. We have had a lot of feedback about that. It's not actually a threat. It's just some more like operational thing, and mixing it up with the threads doesn't really make sense. So if you actually need them, if you want to see if something was blocked, you can see in var log whalebone content.log what has been blocked from which clients, for example, what domain, etc. So in the content log, you are able to look for the content blocking. Here I have something like self, events, data, Microsoft, reports, Crashlytics. These are not the regulatory blocks. These are the content blocks. As we are also here, we have the content blocking up and running, and these are the tracking domains. So we are here restricting the tracking domains. I think this is also quite interesting. Okay, let me also check. Maybe we can have a short use case of the content blocking. I'm not sure if I am on the proper resolver. I am. So now I've tried to resolve Pornhub.com. Okay, obviously it's a porn site. I have been blocked. So this is IP address of the blocking page. That's quite straightforward. I mean, that's not a huge surprise. Let me show you the policies that we have here for the content filter. This will be changed. This is not yet available to you, but we are planning to release the content filtering features for quite an early future. And it will be done in a different way visually. It will be much more attractive and understandable. But here in the content filter, I have a porn sites, advertisement, and tracking blocking. Meaning, besides the porn sites, I'm also blocking the really, not really nice advertisement on the website, which is quite a nice approach how to demo the content blocking possibilities. It's a global media site, CNN.com, without any ad blocker actually. So I've opened it in an Edge browser at the moment without any extensions. So there are no extensions. I'm not using the Edge browser usually. No extensions here. This is how it looks with the content filtering for advertisement and tracking. It's quite cool, I think. And the same you can expect then for the other categories, such as porn, gambling, audio video streaming, games, social networks, etc. Which of course you don't want to enable this for your whole network. It doesn't make sense, but it can be enabled case by case. All right, so I'll advance further. And I would also like to show you what actually happens during the update, what you can expect that will happen when you click the update button. So let me share the screen again, and we can simulate the update process. So I'm here at the resolver, and since this is in our lab, this one is already updated, but never mind. I can simulate basically the same thing via deploying the configuration. So I will just save the default configuration. I will get back to the resolver overview, and I would like to deploy the configuration, which basically does similar thing as the update. It keeps the software to the current version, but it does the same process. And let me open the shell and prepare a bit more information for you. So there is we have a lot of processes running on the resolver. There is the main resolver container process, which is responsible for the DNS resolution. This one is crucial. If this one is running, it means the DNS process, the DNS traffic is being processed, and everything is up and running, and it's great. If we are going to upgrade it or deploy a new configuration, we throw away this container and start a new one, but we do it in that way that we first rename this resolver to resolver old. Then we start the new resolver called resolver, and if we check if the agent is able to confirm that the new resolver is running properly and it's healthy, then the resolver old is removed. So from the customer perspective, from your client perspective, there is no downtime. Let me show you. So if I click OK, there is the resolver old and resolver, and the resolver old is removed if the resolver is properly up and running. This is what happened, and this is what will actually also happen when doing the update. So you can do the update anytime you need. Our recommendation, our best practice is to do the update on the, for example, secondary resolver. Check whether everything is okay. If yes, you can move to the primary, and do it in, I mean, like after 5 minutes, after 10 minutes, if everything is okay, move to the other one and then finish the update. It's definitely worth updating. As I have mentioned, the speed of the changes propagation is important, and besides that, we have also changed completely the algorithm to match the policy assignment for the IP ranges. So this is some sort of demo. We have multiple policies for the resolver, and there are different policies assigned to different IP ranges. And we have had some issues previously with some nearby or overlapping IP ranges. This not always worked properly. There were some bugs or some inaccuracies in the algorithm, and this has been rewritten from the scratch and properly tested. So now you can really rely on the policy assignment, which also will be most probably important for the content filtering, to be able to have multiple policies for different networks. Also, just to be clear how this works, the resolver applies the policy for the most specific IP range it hits. So if it's able to hit the /32 first, it will apply this one. If it hits some /40 24, it will go to that one. If it hits the /16, that will be the last option from those. So it's going from the most specific to the less specific IP ranges, and the first hit is applied. The policy is assigned to that particular IP range. Okay, I'll switch back to the presentation. If there is any questions regarding the resolver, just write it in the comments, please, and we can get back to it. A few remarks regarding the authentication and security. There is a change in the logging form. Maybe some of the customers already has been challenged with this. It's a small change, but it carries more changes along the way. So for the sign-in, you can use either your username or email. Previously, it was only the username. So some of the customers, basically, it's understandable that you forgot the username, but the email, that is something quite easy to remember. So I'll just sign in with my username, and I'm going to enter my password in another step. So previously this was a single step login with username and password. Now we have multiple steps. The reason is that now we are able to have different approaches for different customers to check what's happening during the login, etc. And this also can be configured in the organization settings in your portal. So what we are able, for example, to do is to have some account lockout policies. If someone is trying to log in with invalid passwords several times right after another, we can lock out the account, or we can display CAPTCHA. For example, after 5 different invalid logins, we can display the CAPTCHA, so the user has to confirm that it's a human, it's not a bot. And also there is the allowed IP ranges field that gives you the option to restrict access to Whalebone portal, to your account, to your tenant, only from particular IPv4, IPv6 ranges. So even if anyone, for example, will be able to steal your password or to access somehow your account, he will only be able to access it from your networks. So this is still I think this is still quite a nice feature to keep it locked to your network. And also there's a password policy. We don't enforce any default password policy, so you are allowed to use anything as your password. But if you would like to have some more strict password for you and your colleagues, and it's just not only for you, but it's also for your colleagues, you can define some minimum length, some number of special characters, digits, etc. And you can even force you and your colleagues into changing the password regularly if you want to, or if you have to, according to some standards or certification. So this is quite important, and it's also opening us a possibility to deploy later on, to release later on a two-factor authentication. So not only the passwords will be used, but you will also have the option in the future to use the second factor, which in our case will be the mobile application generating the time codes. For example, the Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator will be supported. So you will be able, using your smartphone, to generate the one-time passwords to log into the Whalebone portal, securing much more your accounts and your network. All right, so this is authentication and security. Extending the API, this is what we are doing constantly. So we are adding new endpoints and also adding more features to the existing endpoints all the time based on the customer requests. So if you feel like you would like to use the API but you are missing something, reach us and we can discuss some extensions also for you. We are really happy if the customers are using the API. I think it's quite important way how to use Whalebone and how to make most of it. And two things that you should be aware of. So one is that you are able to generate your own API keys. Every user has the option to generate API keys here in the menu under API keys. And as you can see, I have 4 API keys that have been disabled. So nothing that can be used. They are just old. Maybe I have lost them somewhere, etc. And there is one active. We are not able to access the old API keys, so we only see the access key, but we don't see the secret key. That's only something that you have. And if you lose it, or if you want to create a new one, you just click create new key, as I just did. And you can see there is the access key here, which will stay here in the portal. But there is the secret key here, which will be displayed only this once on the creation. You have to save it somewhere in your password manager, for example. And we are not able to retrieve them for you. So okay, now you have seen my secret key, so I feel kind of uncomfortable with that. So let me just disable the key and that it cannot be used anymore to access the API. So I'm disabling it. Disabled, cannot be used, and the only key is this one that I have saved somewhere secure in my password manager. Okay, and as we have the API key, you can access the API documentation, which is an interactive documentation. You can actually authorize yourself with the access key and the secret key via the documentation itself. And then you can try to use some of those API endpoints that we have published for you to get the information about the threat events, about the DNS traffic, the DNSSEC validations, indicators of compromise, and resolver itself. In the events, you are able to search for anything, anything that you can see in threads here can be actually retrieved via the event API, and you can even filter it out based on the IP addresses, based on the thread types, resolver IDs, domains, actions. For example, only the blocked events you are interested in, etc., etc. So there's a lot of things that you can use to filter the events, and then you can just execute, and it will generate the CURL for you. So you can just copy paste, or you can use it to create and to integrate this API call to your internal systems. Besides the threat events, I think this is quite interesting. The resolver metrics, they can give you the information of how the resolver is performing in terms of latency. So if it's fast, if it's giving the responses to your customers fast enough, or if there are a lot of queries, or answers in the buckets above 1 second or even more, that means something is not good, something is not working properly, and your clients probably are experiencing a slow internet connection, slow browsing, due to the slow responses on the resolver level. It could be, for example, packet loss, could be the root cause, etc. But it's worth monitoring these attributes. Okay, this is regarding the API, and a few tips and tricks. Few things, like several points that I think are worth mentioning. Let me just switch to some anonymized data. I can show you how to investigate some particular issue, and how to find, for example, the clients, the IP addresses with most issues in your network. So this is a customer. It's a small internet service provider. What is most probably what is first investigating are the CNC incidents, which are the incidents that probably have some connection to the machines that are infected with malware. You can see there are quite a lot in this network, quite a lot of IP addresses, different IP addresses. If I filter the first one, if I click it in the graph, I get the result. On timeline, I can see that from the 14th to 15th, there are many incidents, but they all lead to a single domain, the Gruus Platker RU, and I can see all the incidents one by one in the list below. So this is also this is something worth investigating. If in case it would be still happening at this moment, it's worth to warn the owner, telling him, hey, you probably have infected computer at your home or in your office. You should do something about that. We got you covered. The computer, the virus is not able, the malware is not able to communicate with the server, but still you should have it fixed, and you should clean your computer. The same applies to another one. There is another IP address with similar behavior, and I think we can find much more. So another one. These are in particular, they are trying to contact and connect to the same domain. Here you can see some other behavior, actually combining multiple domains. So it's a single IP address trying to contact different CNC domains in different countries. Could be multiple malware samples on the same machine, or actually could be one malware using multiple domains. So this is what I would actually focus to. These are the CNC communication, and if you want to do something for the customer, the interesting thing can be to warn the customers that have a lot of these CNC incidents. Similar thing can be seen on the DNS traffic level. Using our neural network detection, which is hidden here under the DGA abbreviation. So domain generation algorithm means that these are the IP addresses that are sending a lot of awkward communication. You can see there is a huge communication peak in here. So we can have a look on the IP address that is sending this traffic. And as you can see, this PC is sending, or probably PC is sending, a lot of very awkward domains and queries, and this is quite clear that the computer is infected and is trying to do something online, to find something online. Is trying a lot of different domains, actually about 60,000 per hour, which is a huge number. So the DGA, that's something important that you can look into. You can look for in the reports, or here in the front end. Yeah. The same things, the filters that I have shown you here can also be found in the report, the regular reports that you are getting via email in the PDF file. Okay. Regarding the own log processing and archival, which is quite a common question from our customers. So again, we are on the resolver, and there are a few interesting files with the logs. So all the logs that we store in. Oh, sorry for the typo. We store in var log Whalebone, which is hopefully intuitive. And in here you can find several files that are being rotated. So the old logs are being compressed and rotated, and the up-to-date log files can be accessed directly as a textual files that you can work with directly. So either you can archive them on your own, you can send them out via syslog, for example, or you can work with them directly, for example, with grep on the machine itself. So there is the whalebone.log. It includes the information about the threads. This is basically the input for the threads in our console. So this is where you can get the information what has been blocked. So there is always the action. If the action has been blocked, what was the client IP, what was the domain, and these are the most important parts. And there are, besides that, there are the thread types. This is the CNC communication. So these are the threads. Also, there is a log called passive DNS.log, which has all the DNS traffic information. So this grows, and this is changed a lot. With every single unique query, there is a new line telling you who was the client, what was the query, what was the query type, the answer, TTL, etc. And of course, the timestamp. So this changes a lot with every single unique query. And the new one, the content log, which will include the information about the legal blocking. So if there is a legal blocking, the legal here will be marked as true. And if we blocked something based on the legal requirement, you will see it here. or there could be another reasons, advertisement, tracking, or some content. This is everything that's going to the content .log. This is mostly, those are the most important logs. There are also some logs connected to the agent, which are mostly operational, how the agent is communicating with the cloud. And there is one more called metrics.log. Together, that's gathering the information about how the resolver is performing. For example, it holds the information about the latency, how many requests and answers were fulfilled in a particular bucket. So as you can see, this line. It's quite a huge line. This line is logged every minute, and for the last minute, you will get the buckets. As you can see, most of the answers were actually fulfilled either within 1 millisecond or within 50 milliseconds in this particular bucket. This can also be processed automatically. And two last tips and tricks that were mentioned in the presentation are how to flush the DNS cache on the resolver. We don't have a special button for that in here, which is a pity. And we will. It is on the roadmap to extend these possibilities for the customers, to be able to flash caches of the whole resolver or caches for a particular domain right away from the front end. But in case you would like to flash the cache, it's quite easy. You can just go to the advanced configuration and save the configuration, which will allow you to deploy the configuration. Even though it is the same configuration, if you deploy it, the cache on the resolver will be flushed. So if you think you have some issues with the cache, that something is cached on the resolver and you don't want it there, you just deploy it, and it will disappear right away. So this is one important thing to do if you don't know how to flush it. Or you can just restart the server, but this is much faster. And the other thing that some of the customers have to deal with is when the customer calls you that they have an issue accessing a particular domain. The thing that you can do is to check whether the domain and let me find some interesting domain that we can use for the analysis. I will filter something out. So let me look for some serve fails. That means that the resolver has some issue getting to the domain, because the domain can have some issues on their own. So there is. Okay, this is a really awkward domain, IIUTQXXYZ, and the response is serve fail. It means the resolver tried to resolve it, but most probably no one responded, or the DNSSEC validation didn't go through. So you can use our context menu on the front end in the portal and ask the last option, the DNSWiz.net, which is a specialized service to analyze the DNSSEC and overall DNS performance and the configuration of a specific domain. So now the DNSWiz will take a while to analyze it actually. So I will get back to the interface, but we will get here in a get back here in a minute and we'll recheck what has been found. I don't know. This is the first time I have seen the domain, so I don't know what to expect, but we'll see. It will show us something, most probably why the resolution is not able to go well. Regarding the context menus, I think it's also worth mentioning that there is a context menu here in the threads that can be used to report false positives if they are reported, for example, to you by customers, or you think that this domain shouldn't be blocked. You can report it right away via this interface. It goes directly to our support, and we are going to check it and answer to you whether the domain is should be blocked or not, and what was our reaction, or what can you do to get rid of the domain in the database. For example, you can add it to your whitelist if we still consider it malicious. So if you want us to check it, you can use this context menu. I'm going back to the DNS wiz. The analysis is complete. We'll see what actually what's happening with the domain. You can see here on the left that there are some errors, and we will see how it looks like. So the starting here from the root perspective, from the root servers, everything is okay. To the top level domain XYZ, everything is okay here, but here there is some issue with the delegation, and actually there is no response from the authoritative servers, meaning the resolver is unable to reach them. So this is why we got the serve fail in the resolver overview, in the DNS traffic overview, because the servers are unreachable and the resolver is unable to guess the answer. So he has to respond with serve fail. So this is quite an easy investigation to be sure how what issues can be expected by with the particular domain. We are quite surprised that even some large domains are having similar issues. It doesn't have to affect all the servers, but some of them, or it can partially affect the DNSSEC. So the behavior can be a bit random, that it happens to the user just from time to time, that he's not able to reach the domain, etc. But the issue is mostly on the remote servers and not on the resolvers. Okay, let me, without switching to the presentation, let me just go to the last part of the webinar, which is actually to promote the knowledge of the reporting feature. So there is the reports configuration in your personal menu, through which you are able to get the report settings. So you can, and you should have the reporting enabled by default. The reporting period should be weekly. So basically on every Monday, you should get a PDF report to the mailboxes that you have included in here. I'll switch it, for example, to English. And every Monday, I can expect on this mailbox to get a new PDF report. I highly recommend this, and I highly recommend to open the report at least briefly, to get a notion what's happening in the network, if everything is okay, if there are some IP addresses misbehaving, and you should have more deeper look into the portal, or if everything is okay and you can just continue what you were doing before. The reports will get some updates in the near future. It will be a bit more interactive, so we will allow you directly from the report to click through the portal with the appropriate filters. So you will be able to get from the report to the portal and seeing the issues that we will mentioning that we were mentioning in the report. Let me thank you for your time for attending the webinar, and we'll be happy to discuss anything with you soon.